conducting, and we shall be inviting you time to time to listen to different county-based results. So we've started today with the Nairobi County. Reason being, all of us know that it's only 33 days left for Kenyans to go exercise their franchise in terms of determining the set of leaders that are going to govern us for the next 5 years. And Infotrak decided on a self-funded poll to interview Nairobians, and the total number of people that we sampled, 1,024 across the 17 constituencies. You'd want to ask us, why did we decide to go and start with Nairobi? We know this is the backbone of politics. It shapes every political opinion, and when we get Nairobi right, we believe in the political leadership, the country can have a sense of direction. So last weekend, that is on the 2nd to 3rd of July, through the call center, or what we call the computer-assisted telephonic interview, we approached, or we contacted Nairobians to get their views on key pertinent issues. And this included, amongst them, the key issues of concern for them currently, then the state of the country, which direction is the country headed to currently, and who are the popular candidates with regard to the county posts. And this, we focused on the gubernatorial post. We did also want to find out who are the popular senatorial candidates, women rep, and of course the constituency level and the rest. That we will not share with you today. We'll limit ourselves to the 3 posts, and of course there is a rider for the national position, that is the presidential popularity for the Nairobi County. I must also say that while we've put enough strategies and checks in place to ensure that the data that we collect, is reliable, accurate, and verifiable, we ensure that this data can be authenticated. And that's why it gives us the confidence level currently. If you speak to 1,024, we have a margin of error of plus or minus 2% at a confidence level of 95%. Meaning, if we were to go back 95 times, we will get the same results if we use the same methodology and we sample the same sample size, that is 1,024. And now on to the results. I have stated that the interviews spread across all the 17 counties, and this basic sampling unit that we used are the wards. So the thing was stratified from the ward level. If you speak to someone, they'll tell you which ward they're coming from and probably the voting center they're voting onto, and we build it up to the national level. So what is the state of the country currently? According to Nairobians, we asked them, which direction is the country headed currently? And these are 3 options: right direction, wrong direction, or a 50-50, a balance. We can report that 73% of Nairobians feel the country is headed in the wrong direction. And 11% opined that the country is headed in the right direction, with 14% saying it's a 50-50. So it is neither wrong nor right direction. And we went further to find out, if you say the country is headed into the right direction, that is 11%. who mentioned that the country is headed into the right direction. Why do they say so? Among the issue, 51% mentioned that there's the peace, we enjoy relative peace in the country. Then devolution has made a difference within Nairobi County for them. And the county has good infrastructure. If you look around Nairobi, we've seen a lot of improvement on the infrastructure, courtesy of NMS and other, say, the national CDF and the like. So with that improvement on infrastructure, they about 116 in figure, those 11% of the 1024 felt those are the key issues. Then of course, for the 73% who mentioned that the country is headed into the wrong direction, key among the things that was mentioned by 81% is the high cost of living. And I believe all of us can attest to that there's been an incremental high cost of living in all aspects of the things that we use at home. Talk of unga, talk of cost of fuel, cost of everything, virtually transportation, school fee, everything has gone up. And rightfully, we believe once they say that the high cost of living, that is really eating into the share of the wallet for every living citizen in Kenya, can attest to that. There's also another 10% who mentioned poor governance and rampant corruption in the country, and corruption across level. There are a lot of cases we've witnessed recently being mentioned or broadcasted by yourself about cases of corruption. And this is both at the national level, at the county level, some even are touching on private firms and also on the individual citizen. A lot of scamming that are happening, and I believe that is also tied to rampant cases of corruption. Then of course unemployment was mentioned by 3%, 2% mentioned bad politics, and increased crime or insecurity mentioned by 1%. Poverty also mentioned by 1%. So those are some of the reasons that the respondents that we spoke to can attest to the reason the country is headed into the wrong direction. Moving on. If we look across the constituencies, the 17 constituencies, and when we talk about the direction which the country is headed into, majority were above 50% in terms of saying the country is headed into the wrong direction. The worst, the highest complaint or the highest score for the wrong direction was mentioned in Dagoretti North at 80%, and it was followed by Roysambu at 78%. However, on the flip side, for those that felt the country is headed into the right direction, the highest score of 26% came from Ruaraka, followed by Kasarani at 24%, and Kibra closed it at 22%. But by and large, what we can say, most of the respondents across the 17 counties feel that the country is headed into the wrong direction. So, another thing that we wanted to establish was the key issues of concern. What really concern us as residents of Nairobi? One thing is the high cost of living. Remember, if we can mirror this with the reasons for why the country is headed into the wrong direction, which was mentioned by 73%. But now when we come to the key issue of concern that the residents of Nairobi want to be addressed as a matter of priority, high cost of living stood at 66%, unemployment 50%, access to clean water at 40%. These are the highest score, the 3 points that had the highest score. And you'll ask yourself, within a city county, should we be looking for issues to do with access to clean water? I believe at one point, either of us have had an experience whereby you have to go buy water to use at home for domestic use, or at times you go into the house, the taps are dry. So, and we don't hear the main political contenders talking about either providing water for the city. So is it one of the campaign agendas that they would want to, that the politics can focus on, and of course the candidates focus on. Another thing is the roads and infrastructure that is mentioned at 29%. It's one key issue of concern that Nairobians want to be addressed. 23%. We believe, or we know, when it comes to political season, there are a lot of insecurity cases, mugging, pickpocketing. There are a lot of people really face crime-related issues, and if you look at the reports on crime, it always go high during campaign periods. So Nairobi addressed sewerage and sanitation, corruption 17%, cost of doing business 17%, access to healthcare mentioned by 11%. We've within Nairobi has tried, and they've built around 17 or 29 hospitals, but that still Nairobians felt they need more to access to healthcare services, or albeit the cost of accessing that service. So on the economic difficulties that Kenyans are facing, one, it was mismanagement or bad governance. They mentioned that at 51%, corruption 30%, and you can see corruption and mismanagement or bad governance is really cropping up, because you do not really feel who is in charge, either at the county level or at the national level. Things are flip-flopping everywhere. So we believe in the next set of leaders that we'll get, both at the county and the national level, would streamline leadership and management so that we can get good dividends, or dividends for democracy. And of course, we are still affected or infected by COVID. That was mentioned at 16%. Then, of course, sanctions or wars that are happening, like Russia and Ukraine war, mentioned by 1%. International financial institutions and World Bank, IMF, sanctions that they keep on giving to Kenya, or talk of sanctions, mentioned by 14%. On to the political question. We went to find out within the second and the third who are the popular candidates for the county positions. And starting with the gubernatorial question, out of the 1,024 respondents that we posed this question, all of them answered, and 39% report they would vote for Sakaja Johnson if elections were held on that day. 33% mentioned Polycarp Igathe. Agnes Kagure mentioned by 0.4%. There were those who preferred not to disclose, that was at 4%, and the undecided at 24%. Cumulatively, if you look at that gubernatorial race, we can report the undecided stands at 28%. Because if we add those who preferred not to disclose or to answer who they would vote for, which is their right, remember ballot is secret, and looked at Polycarp Igathe 33, and of course Sakaja at 39. If you look at the difference between the two candidates, that's a 6% difference, and that 6% is significantly, it is significant, and I believe all of them need to work hard so that they can actually get to convince the 28% that are undecided. And looking at the same popularity by gender and age, who is convincing which gender most? If you look at Johnson Sakaja, 36% of the female would vote for him, while 42 would do the same for male. Polycarp Igathe would garner 30% of the female vote and 35% of the male vote. Across the age bands, we see a lot more younger people supporting Johnson Sakaja. Cumulatively between 18 to 35 years, he's getting an average of 44% popularity. And if you go up higher, is also gaining with more older people, those are 55 years and above, still voting for him. For Polycarp Igathe, his highest is on those that are within the age band of 36 to 45, which he gets 38%, and that he outdo Sakaja. While Sakaja gets 35% of that age band, Polycarp Igathe scores 38. For the senatorial candidate, the two leading candidates that came out are Edwin Sifuna, who scored 44%, or who would have scored 44% if elections were held on that day, followed by Bishop Margaret Wanjiru at 12%. There were other candidates mentioned, there are about 4. Cumulatively, they would get 1%. What of the undecided? It has the highest undecided. Currently, it's standing at 44%. 44% of Nairobians have not decided of which of the senatorial candidates they are going to be voting for. And maybe, hypothetically, we can say that we've not seen senatorial candidates mount individual campaigns as opposed to other candidates. If you go to the grassroots, you'd see an MCA mounting individual candidate campaign, MPs doing the same, but it might be a bit shaky for senatorial. They may be relying on the political party. When their political parties have rallies within the county, that's when they are also seen, or that's when they get opportunity to talk to their electorates. So maybe if all of them were to go on individual campaign trails, maybe the numbers would change from the 44% undecided to something reasonable. And when I say reasonable, it should be about below 10% now that we only have 33 days to the elections. The senatorial candidates' popularity by gender and age. So if we look at Edwin Sifuna, who is leading by 44%, only 39% of the female would vote for him. If you compare that with Margaret Wanjiru, who would have garnered only 12%. Male, still Sifuna would lead with 48%, and 12% for male would vote for Margaret Wanjiru. Interestingly, Sifuna is leading across the age bands for those that would vote for him, save for Margaret, who has a bit higher score on those that are 55 years and above. She would garner 18%, and for the younger folks, 18 to 26%, she would get 15%, with Sakaja getting 38% of that category. So what are the reasons? We picked out this particularly for the senatorial candidates. Why would somebody vote for Edwin Sifuna? Why would someone vote for Margaret Wanjiru? So for the 44% who would vote for Edwin Sifuna, the key two top reasons why they would vote for him: he has experience and development oriented, mentioned by 47%. Then he has good plans for Nairobi, mentioned by 24%. When we look at Bishop Margaret Wanjiru, 40% would vote for her because of her development track record, and 19% would vote for her because she has good plan for the city. On to women rep post. We post who would you elect Suppose elections were held on the 2nd and 3rd of July. Esther Passaris, who is the current women rep, still has the lead with 46%, followed a distance close of by Millicent Omanga, who had 20%. Then we have other candidates getting 1%. Cumulatively, if you look at the undecided for the women rep, it stands at 33%. I think it's the second highest to senatorial. While senatorial is about 44, women rep undecided is at 33%. Same reasons may be alluded to that high number of undecided votes. The city dwellers may not have seen the women rep candidates mount aggressive individual campaigns. They rely on the mega rallies that their coalitions are holding. That could be one reason or the other. So in terms of gender, more female and more male would vote for Esther Passaris. In terms of age band, yes, she still has the highest across from the 18 years to 55 years. All of them would vote for her. Our highest score is drawn for those that are 36 to 45 years. For Honorable Millicent Omanga, her highest score is within the youth category, those that are 18 to 26%. And reasons, the two key main reasons why someone would vote for Esther Passaris. One is our development track record that was mentioned by 73%. Then we have the plans that she has for Nairobi mentioned by 9%. Same applies to Millicent Omanga. For our track record in development, she scored 38%, while 30% would vote her because of the good plans she has for Nairobi. If you check across that particular item, then she has a higher score as opposed to Esther Passaris, who had only 9% on that good plans for Nairobi. Onto the presidential popularity, we wanted to find out who amongst the 4 cleared candidates, how are they faring? So we start with the leading candidate, Raila Odinga and Martha Karua, who have a score of 49%, followed closely by the Deputy President William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua, who scores 30%, and George Wajakoya and Justina Wamai has a 5% within Nairobi, and David Mwaure and Ruth Mutua has 0.3%. What do we have as undecided? The undecided for the presidential race in Nairobi stands at 15%. Comparatively, if you look at the presidential, it's at 15, senatorial 28, senatorial 44, gubernatorial 28, women rep undecided is at 32%. So, like I said, maybe more people will be making their minds, say in the next days, so that we can see the figures come down. But how do the presidential candidates play around with the gender and age? So, if you look at the female vote, Raila would have scored 47 against William Ruto, who has 29, and Wajakoya 4%. For the male vote, Raila has 52% popularity, William Ruto has 30% popularity, and Wajakoya has 6%. So for the age bands, if you look across the age, Raila would secure more votes from those that are above 35 years. Like we can see in the age band of those that are 27 to 35 years, he would get 47%. He would get 53% for those that are 36 to 45, and you would get 54% those that are 46 to 55%. I mean 55 years old. while William Ruto would garner his highest from the youth, that is 36% for those that are 18 years old. So what are the reasons why the different candidates would be elected? If we check through Raila's 49%, what are some of the key two reasons why he would be voted? Track record, experience, and development-wise, development consciousness, mentioned by 70%. The same across, mentioned only for 45% for William Ruto, and 18% for Wajakoya, and 64% for David Mwaure. Then in terms of he has good plans for the country, for Raila it was mentioned by only 19%, and that is his second highest reason for voting. For Dr. William Ruto, he has his highest at 41% for good plans for the country. Wajakoya beats them all in that category at 67% that he has good plans for the country. And for David Mwaure, 36% reported that he has good plans for the country. There are other reasons that were mentioned, but we've just picked the key reasons stated for each of the candidates. The last question we wanted to determine is the popularity of the political parties. How do they stand currently? And ODM, just a minute. So within Nairobi County, ODM has 51% popularity. ODM has 51% and UDA has 31%. So this also you can get across the constituencies. For the coalitions, Azimio One Kenya Alliance is popular at 48%. Kenya Kwanza is at 31%, with about 21% stating none of the two. So that's what we wanted to share with you today, and we'll be available to take questions if at all there is. Yes, sir. Okay. Do you answer that or I wait for more? Like for my introductory remarks, I mentioned that we are doing several county-based and national polls. They are ongoing, and I believe we will be calling or inviting you people time to time to share. Once a county is ready or the national one is ready, we'll call you. I believe we should be calling you before weekend for the national poll, so that when we talk about national poll, we will have gone to all the 290 constituencies. I think we're almost halfway with the data collection for the presidential one. Any other? Hakuna maswali? So once again, thank you for honoring our invitation. We shall share this deck with yourself so that you do your own analysis and give the information to the populace. Asanteni sana. My name? My name is Jovin Wanyingo. I'm a research manager. Oh, there's a question. Sorry, madam, come back again. So amongst the reasons given by the residents of Nairobi for economic difficulties, I mentioned bad governance and mismanagement that had the highest score at 51% and corruption at 30%. So those are the reasons they mentioned for the economic difficulties. And I believe so they would be tying it to why are things just skyrocketing over time. If at all we had good or prudence management, then at least there should be gradual increase on food prices or fuel prices, rather than what we're just seeing, the curve goes very high at an exponential rate. Yeah. Swali lingine kama lipo. Okay, we're done. John, over to you. We have refreshment being served there. Please pick a bite. Oh, sorry, I didn't see. There were no questions. I didn't see. You know, things kept on going on and off.
But you were clear. I think my phone was called to the
Yeah. The phone.
No, the other one.
Yeah, it took time. So watumie hizo nini, hizo slides.
They'll be sent once we meet Angela that is.
Okay.
It's fine.
Boss, mnataka kunimaliza? Nzuri sana. J-O. HP.